Turn my back for 1 minute, come back and find little miss doing this. Yeah? How dare you? How very dare you? Hi guys, welcome to the Knitting Expat Podcast. This is episode 112, I believe. I hope my notes are right. My name is Mina and I'm your host today. Welcome. So yes, this podcast is coming to you from my home in New York, where I currently live with my husband, our 2 cats and our baby girl. Layla is currently sleeping, she's having a nap, so I'm hoping to be able to get most of this recorded while she sleeps. We've been having a bit of a bad run with her naps during the day, but it's slowly starting to get better, so fingers crossed it'll be fine. Today is Friday the 27th of October. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are new to the podcast, I hope you enjoy what you see, and if you do, feel free to hit subscribe if you'd like. That way you get notified when I post new videos. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you guys checking in with me every time I post a video. And yeah, and if you are new, I alternate between uploading podcast episodes and vlog videos every other week. So this week is a podcast, next week will be a vlog. So I hope you'll enjoy that, and I just find that right now seems to fit in quite nicely with our lives and what's going on with us right now, and everything with the baby being a bit hectic, but yeah, so like I said, thank you so much for joining me today, and so let's get stuck right in. I can be found at a few places online. Mainly I'm most active on Instagram, and you can find me there as Knitting Expat, and you can find me on Ravelry as Mina Phillip, just my name, and we have a podcast group for the podcast on Ravelry, which is Knitting Expat Podcast. Sorry, I've got like a mosquito bite on my hand here, which is really itchy, so if I keep scratching it, that's what that is. I'll try not to. So yeah, we have the podcast group on Ravelry, and I post episode threads for these sit down podcast episodes. Sometimes I post threads for the vlogs, but I don't have show notes. Speaking of show notes, you can find those for this episode and all previous episodes at knittingexpat.wordpress.com. Like I said, I don't do show notes for the vlog episodes. I do cover all of the knitting content that I show in the vlogs on the episode, on like the actual podcast episodes. So all of that knitting content is usually covered in an episode, and then it's in the show notes anyway. So in terms of what yarns I use, needle sizes, etc, etc, and pattern names if they are relevant. To be honest, more often than not, everything I knit is currently my own design work, so a lot of the times I just can't link patterns anyway, because they're design projects that I'm working on that haven't been released yet. And speaking of which, I also have a Ravelry store where I sell my knitting patterns words, which is Knitting Expat Designs, and all of this that I've just told you is linked down below in the description box on YouTube, and in the episode thread, and in the show notes. So wherever you're watching this video, you'll be able to find links to all the places you can find me online. Okay, that's the introduction spiel out of the way. I just wanted to start out with a very quick announcement. I've seen this has been posted all over Instagram the last couple of days, which is great. I'm hoping this will have gotten most of the word out, but I know a lot of people still aren't on Instagram, which is fine, but it just might mean that you haven't heard the news yet. But so last week was Rhinebeck, and on the Friday night before Rhinebeck was the Indie Untangled trunk show, and the lovely Maria from Tuscan Knits was one of the vendors at the trunk show, and she had an issue with one of her like apps that was accepting payments, and it turns out basically half of the payments that she was accepting didn't actually go through. She never received the money for the transactions, even though it sent out a receipt. So she's got a link on, she's got all the information about it on her Instagram page, and I'll try and link that in the show notes for you guys. But you don't have to have an Instagram account to see that page on a computer, I think, if I remember correctly. But basically she's just asking anyone who has purchased from her on that Friday night to check who purchased with a credit or debit card, to check their card account and just make sure that the transaction has actually gone through and the payment was taken, and otherwise to contact her to sort it out, because this affected about 50% of her earnings for that evening, which is a lot for someone who depends on this for their livelihood. So it's a lot for anyone, let alone someone who's depending on it for their livelihood. So if you could email her at tuscanknits@gmail.com, which is the email address that she'd put out, and again I'll have that in the show notes as well. So I believe as of last night she has recouped the majority of her losses, but it would be great if we could try and like improve that a bit, I guess, is what I was trying to say. So like I said, I know not a lot of people aren't on Instagram. Majority are, but I know there are several who, I know of several personally who aren't on Instagram. So I know, you know, if they had been in Untangled and had made a purchase, they probably wouldn't have heard the news. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there right at the beginning in case that affects anybody. Overall, Rhinebeck was an amazing weekend. It was so much fun. We had the best time, or I did anyway. Perry got a little bit ill over the weekend, but it was okay in the end. I did a whole separate vlog about it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it in this episode. I do have a few bits that I forgot to mention in the vlog, but I'll cover that later at the end in the weekly review segment. And so yeah, so like I said, I've got a vlog for Rhinebeck up already, so you can go ahead and check that out. And my Rhinebeck haul is in the last half an hour of that vlog episode. So I'm not going to go over the stuff that I bought at Rhinebeck because it's already in that episode, and that way Rhinebeck is segmented in its own little video. Thank you so much to everyone who's really checked it out and for all the positive feedback. I really enjoyed reading your comments on that one. So yeah, so moving on, the road to Rhinebeck Mystery Knit Along is now over. The Mystery Knit Along has been amazing to watch and see you guys taking part in all your projects and shawls, and I even got to see a few of them in person at Rhinebeck, which was amazing, and that was so much fun. I feel like I should have organised a sort of like little get together for everyone who had knit their Rhinebeck shawls and brought them along to get like a group photo or something, but I didn't really think about it until I was there, and then it was a bit too late at that point to do anything. But it was really fun to see all of you who had knit them and had brought them along. So I've left the thread open, or still, for the finished objects thread. So if you're still finishing it off and you haven't quite gotten there yet, feel free to enter. I'm probably going to leave that open until the end of the month now. I need to post an update in the threads, but basically I'm just going to leave it open for a few more days until the end of the month, and then next week I'm going to post a prize winners video for the Mystery Knit Along, for the We Are Knitters $50 gift card giveaway, and also the person who has won the Volko sock kit hasn't actually gotten in touch with me about their prize, so I'm going to redraw a winner for that as well. And so all of those prize winners will be in one video that goes up next week. I'll probably post that video on Wednesday, just letting you guys know now. And yeah, so I guess we'll just jump right into finished objects. I'm envisaging this is going to be a relatively quick episode, just because I don't have a whole ton of stuff on the table here to show you, and yeah, so just let you know now. So for finished objects, I don't have a whole ton of stuff. The first one that I finished is Betty's dress. This is Bundle Up Betty. I think previously I was calling her Button Up Betty, but it's Bundle Up Betty. My mistake. Andy of Andre C Knits, she sent me a copy, one of the Betty dolls, before they'd got the final packaging and everything, so I didn't have the official packaging for it, which is probably why I forgot the name correctly. But it's basically meant to be, it's based on the nostalgia of those of like the paper dolls from back in the 60s, I think it was, where you'd get the paper dolls and you'd get the little paper clothes that you could cut out and like put on the dolls and stuff. But this is wooden, obviously, so it's not paper. And then you can knit her a dress, and I do know that she's going to be coming out with a boy version as well. And Andy has a bunch of patterns for Betty already. She asked if I'd be interested in designing a little pattern for her. She sent one along anyway for Layla, without, no pressure to design anything. But I did do a version of the vintage inspired baby/child dress for Betty as well. It's a slightly more simplified version. I didn't do any of the crochet edgings just because it felt like it would be a little bit too much on Betty. So and it's got a cute little keyhole feature at the back there. But I've included notes in the pattern that you could actually just add a small button and do a button loop instead to make the dress removable. I will probably have to unpick the little whip stitching that I did to close that in order to get the dress off her. Not a big deal, I don't mind. But this is a little bit of leftover yarn from Little Bean Loves Yarn in a custom red colorway that that Kayleen dyed for me. She's the dyer behind Little Bean Loves Yarn. And you guys will have seen on the last podcast that I knit a dress for Layla out of this this vintage inspired dress, and I thought her little Betty doll should have a matching dress. So that's that. I knit it on 2.75mm needles, which is a US 2, I believe. Did I write that down correctly? Yes, US 2, and I'm going to be offering this pattern as a bonus extra. It's just going to be an extra PDF when you purchase the vintage inspired baby dress pattern, or child's dress pattern I should call it. That dress is currently being test knit, so once the test knitters have finished with that, I will be looking to publish it. I've given my testers until mid-November to finish the test knit, and then hopefully I'll have it released that following week. So it should be the week of Thanksgiving in the US is when that dress pattern will be coming out. I'm pretty sure I'm going to change the name. The vintage inspired child's dress was just a work in progress name. I got the idea, I'd asked for some name suggestions on Instagram, and someone suggested picking like an old-fashioned name to go with it because it's a vintage inspired dress. And then I thought, actually, why not name it after my aunt? My aunt is who knit the dress for me in the first place, who inspired the whole thing. So I figured that seems to be the most appropriate name to call it. My aunt's name is Nahid, who made the dress for me, so that's probably what it's going to be called. It's going to be the Nahid dress. I think that would be the most appropriate. I seem to be slowly accumulating knitting patterns named after different members of my mum's family, all of whom used to knit or do knit. I think most of them used to knit now. So I've got the Mariam collection named after my auntie Mariam, then I've got the Lida shawl named after my aunt Lida, and now the Nahid dress after my aunt Nahid. So I think slowly I'm accumulating knitting patterns named after family, which isn't the worst thing. It's actually really nice, I think. But anyway, so that's what I have to say about that. Sorry if you can hear that noise in the background. It's Hugo trying to get into a paper bag. Yeah, he's climbing into a paper bag that's on the sofa at the very back there. So the next finished object I have to show you is actually two finished objects, but they're so small I'm kind of counting them together. And that's two pairs of baby socks. I'm pretty sure these are going to be the last socks I knit for Layla for this winter anyway, just because I'm pretty sure I've hit my 12 pairs that I wanted to do. And also, to be honest, the girl just doesn't like wearing socks yet. Like, she's really not into wearing socks. She's constantly kicking them off, doesn't matter what I do to keep them on. And she doesn't seem to want to wear them. So she's not wearing shoes yet, so I really am not that fussed about her having to have socks on, because in the stroller, if it's cold, I put a blanket over her. I mean, I do try and put socks on her, but they don't stay on. Doesn't matter how long the legs are or whatever. Like, I put them on, she kicks them off. Just as simple as that. And I don't mind, to be honest. I want it to be comfortable. If she doesn't want to wear them, that's fine. I figure once the weather gets a bit colder, she might be a little bit less reluctant to kick them off. And also, once she's wearing shoes, then it'll be easier to keep them on. So these are the two pairs that I have knit for her this last couple of weeks actually, not last week, the week before. So this is out of some leftovers from Lolo Did It. This is on the Dowager Countess, out of the Dowager Countess colorway. And the pattern that I used for this one is the same that I used with this yarn when I knit the full adult version, and that's the Times Square socks from the New York Sock Club. So there we go. You can see that. It's kind of like a mock cable type effect, which is really fun. And the second pair rather, is out of Knit Style yarns in the Squirtle colorway, which is the Pokemon reference. And this was just a simple garter rib pattern, no specific pattern. I just did a garter rib down the front and used a contrasting yellow for the heel. So yeah, there was that. So those are those two. And my last finished object is a full-sized pair of socks, adult socks. This was knit out of Hedgehog Fibers Twist, on their Twist sock base, which is a BFL nylon 80/20. I heard recently that this base has been discontinued. I don't know when it was discontinued or for how long it's been discontinued. Words. But it has been apparently, and this is in the Creature colorway, which was also a club colorway, so I don't really think you can get this colorway anymore. I knit this on 2.25mm needles, US 1s, and this is going to be a pair of gift socks for somebody. So yeah, there's that. Sorry that you can't necessarily get the yarn anymore, but you might be able to find it on Z-Stash maybe. So that's it for finished objects. That was really quick. So moving on to works in progress, I have mostly socks and a cardigan, and one pair of socks is a pair of vanilla gift socks that I'm knitting out of some Crit Yum handmade yarn. I've made basically no progress on those, so I'm not going to show them to you, and also because they're under the stroller and I just don't want to get up and get them now. But I essentially just knit maybe 3 or 4 rows on that whilst at Rhinebeck at dinner on the Friday night with friends. So I really didn't work on those since I last showed them to you, so there's that. Then I have a Perry's Christmas socks which I am working on, and these are being knit concurrently. I had planned on doing a design on a pattern on these, not necessarily a design but just a pattern, and as you can see I ended up just doing it in plain vanilla, because by the time I wanted to pick something up to knit on, I just didn't want to have to think of anything. I didn't even want to have to think of a design, just like nothing at that particular point. So I just started doing it in vanilla, and I just thought, you know what, whatever, I'll do it in vanilla, it's not a big deal. And they are now both ready for heels, so I just have to pop heels in, and then what I'm probably going to do is set these aside once the heels are in and I've done the gusset decreases. I'm going to pop them onto one needle because they're vanillas, no need to knit them concurrently anymore. And I'm going to set them aside for cinema knitting, because I think we're planning on going to the cinema once or twice over the next month. So I'm going to keep that for at least for one cinema trip, and then I'll be able to finish it off. Then and then the other pair of vanilla socks, the Crit Yum handmade, I'm going to hold on to those as future cinema knitting or like travel knitting when I don't want to be thinking about a pattern or anything, because I think I mentioned previously that we're looking to go away Thanksgiving week for a trip, but more about that later. So there's that. Then the next 2 sock patterns, sock projects I have to show you, I can't really show you the socks because they are designs for the sock club for next year, which is really exciting. I'm so glad I'm finally getting on with those. It was really actually starting to stress me out. I got back from Rhinebeck, and on Monday it suddenly hit me how much work I had to do before the end of this year, not just for these designs but for other designs I'm working on, and had a bit of a day when I was just like had like a panic day. I knew it would be fine, I knew it would, but I just felt like I felt really behind all of a sudden, and like I suddenly had this looming deadline. I was like, Jesus, and like it's just, you know, it's just over 2 months before the end of the year. It's really not a lot of time, and yeah, like I just had a sudden overwhelming sense of panic that I wasn't going to get it done in time. And I know at the end of the day it's not the end of the world if something doesn't happen with knitting patterns, so I mean, it's not like someone's going to die or anything, but I feel the pressure on myself. I put the pressure on myself more because, you know, I said I'm going to do something and I want to do it in the time that I said I would do it, if that makes sense. But so we will see. I'm not going to be too hard on myself, but at the same time, I mean, originally I wanted to have the first, like, you know, 5-6 patterns like all done, and now I'm like, well, if I get the first 3 done, that'll be good. And that'll be enough to get me going, and then to be able to keep up next year as well. So yeah, so like I said, I'm just trying to take it easy on myself and not put too many too much expectation, or like, I don't want to put undue stress on myself that I don't need to. That was what I was trying to say. So the first pair that I'm working on is actually going to be the bonus pattern that comes with both clubs, and this is one that you'll get almost straight away, not quite straight away. This one will be released at the beginning of December, and this is going to be the Christmas pattern. So I'm going to just show you the cuffs, which really doesn't show you much at all, but there you go, Christmas colours, as you can see. I'll show you the yarn, and this yarn is by Turtle Pearl Yarns. In their it's just their superwash merino nylon base 75/25. It's a Canadian yarn, and as you can see here, it's a Christmas colorway for this year, and it's called Mistletoe Kisses, and it's currently available in their Etsy shop if you're looking to get the same yarn, and you can get it on a number of different bases. I think they have it on a sparkle, and they have it on another base as well if you're interested. So that's currently available what I'm working with now, and this is also waiting for heels. Now I just got the yarn on its own, but I went digging around in my stash, and I wanted to use a contrasting colour for the heel at least, if not for the toes as well. And I found this red, which I think, yeah, which is it's a Nooch Fibre Arts yarn, which I knit Perry socks for last Christmas, and the red is basically a perfect match for the red in the turtle pearl yarn, and the yarn base is the same. Come on camera, focus, I'm over here. Alright, I'm back. So the yarn base is the same and everything, so it should be a perfect match for that. And those are, like I said, those are now, I don't know if I said it or not, but those are now waiting for heels as well. I've knit the legs on those, and those are waiting for heels. And this one, stitches. Just open my bag and stitches are flying. Okay, I can show you the back of the work on this one, because the other one I couldn't even show you the back because the patterning goes all the way around, which is unusual for me. But for that one I did it. And I can show you the back of the work for this one because the patterning's only on the front. Look how beautiful that yarn is. It's so pretty. So this is Maker's Haven yarn. I'll grab the tag. This is Maker's Haven yarn, dyed by the lovely Amber, who I got to meet at Rhinebeck, and it was so lovely to see you, Amber. We've been chatting a lot recently over Instagram and email. She's the one who dyed the yarn and sent yarn for Layla's, the mix and match sweater and hat set that I put together for Layla. And I'm sorry if you can hear the construction noise. Just realised I've got a window open in the room next door, so I hope it's not too annoying. I might go and close it in a minute. But so this is her yarn that I'm using, and it's on her simple sock base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon, and it's in the Midnight Talks colourway. And again, I am using the 2.25mm needles, and this time I'm using Chagus. So that's that. That's it for socks. So all my socks currently are being knit on 2.25mm needles, either high sharps or Chagus, both of which I prefer. I prefer to use both of those for my sock knitting, and I'm happy to interchange between the two. They feel the same to me. I enjoy knitting with both. I know some people don't like the cord on the Chagus sock needles. It doesn't bother me. And next up, with my bag covered in pins, I still have more pins to add to it after the Rhinebeck weekend. I haven't gotten around to adding them all yet. But I'm working, this is the mix and match cardigan, which I'm designing at the moment. A cardigan and pullover, so there's both options will be in the pattern. And the yarn that I'm using is by, I don't think I have any of the tags in here, it's by Into the World. And it is actually on their Dresden DK base, which is what I was saying at the beginning, and then I read the tag and it said Pakoku DK. Well, the lovely Chris from Into the World got in touch with me and told me that that was a typo on their front, and they put the labels on incorrectly, and it's actually the Dresden DK base. So I was right in the beginning. It's the Superwash Merino DK. It's beautiful, and the colorway is mildly amusing. It was really funny actually. I went into their booth a couple of times when I was at Rhinebeck to say hi to them, just have a chat. And when I went in to purchase yarn, I went in to pick up a couple of skeins. The first thing I picked up was, unintentionally, it was just what I was drawn to. The first skein I picked up was mildly amusing, the colorway, same as this one. So I was just, but on their sock base, I was like, of course I picked up that skein. That's obviously the colors that I am the most drawn to. So there's that. Layla's woken up a little bit. I say a little bit, she's woken up, but she's fine. I'm hoping she'll just go back to sleep. Otherwise I'll have to go get her and she'll have to join us for the rest of this, which I'm sure you guys won't mind. And this is where I'm at. So just to give you an idea, where did I put it? this marker here is where I was the last time I recorded a sit down podcast and showed you guys. I literally just cast on a couple of days, or the night before. But now I'm here. We almost have a completed body. So you can see the V-neck, well, you might not be able to with the V-neck shaping. And down at the bottom here. I did actually try this on last night. I slipped a bunch of the stitches onto a spare cable needle and tried it on, and it fits really well. It's going to be slightly oversized once it's finished and blocked and everything, which was kind of what I was going for. So a sort of relaxed, cozy cardigan, because it's going to have, I'm going to knit the version that has the shawl collar, so it's going to be nice and cozy and snuggly. But yeah, so almost there. I think I've got a couple more inches to do on the bottom before I start the ribbing. And yeah, so I'm really excited to get the body finished, so then I can get going on the sleeves and the button band. What I might do is start the sleeves, knit the sleeves concurrently, and then you know, once I've got a couple of inches on the sleeves, knit the button band, and then that will give me the best idea in terms of fit, and then I can go ahead and make any adjustments and grade the pattern, get it tech edited, and then get it out to testers. And if that all happens while I'm still working on the sleeves, it's not a problem. I feel like that's not an issue in terms of writing up the pattern. All right, I'm gonna go check on her, see if she's okay. So, as you can see, someone apparently didn't want to be left out of the podcasting situation, because she refused to go back to sleep and she just would scream bloody murder. Yeah? You just wanted to be part of this, didn't you? Yeah? Okay. Alright, so I'm pretty sure we're finished with works in progress now. Last thing I showed you was the cardigan that I'm working on, and that is my last work in progress. So let's move on to acquisitions. Yeah. Someone seems quite happy with herself. Alright, so let's move on to acquisitions. First up, I have some lovely yarn to show you from the Cozy Knitter, lovely Christina, who I also met at the Rhinebeck. So hello to Christina, but she'd sent this to me prior to that anyway. I just hadn't had a chance to show it to you on the podcast. So she sent me 2 skeins actually, or 2 sock set skeins. And yeah. So this one is called Cider House. As you can see, it's a very autumnal set of colours with a corresponding skein. This is on her bliss base, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 115 grams total. You get approximately 85 grams in stripes and 30 grams in the mini. Yeah, do you want to play with this? Play with yarn? Start young. Yeah. The other skein she sent me I'm using for one of the sock patterns, but I haven't started it yet, so I'm just going to show you the yarn. And this one is in her Spectrum colourway, which is a rainbow, and this is the blue that goes as the mini skein that goes with it. And the actual colourway is, like I said, a rainbow. So what I did was I just wound up one big cake and then hand wound a centre pull ball from the first cake to get 2 cakes. I was just sat on the sofa last night. I had to split some balls for socks, and I couldn't be bothered to get up and use my ball winder, so I just did it by hand. I really like how that one turned out. So yes, that's the Spectrum colourway, same base, same details as the other one, but yeah, this one's waiting to be cast on. Then I got a really sweet package from a viewer and a friend of mine who I met back when I first started podcasting, and she sent a sweet package for Layla recently, and that arrived in the mail a couple of days ago. And so yeah, I'm not going to show you everything that was in it, but she sent a bunch of stuff for Layla, actually including the little onesie shirt she's wearing now. But she also knit this for Layla, which is really sweet and adorable. She actually won this yarn in a knit-along that I hosted. And she knit Layla a little sweater. And this is the Raindrops pattern by Tin Can Knits, I believe. So yeah. Thank you so much. I don't know if she wants me to mention her name or not, so I'm not going to, but you know who you are, so thank you. And I also found out that she's coming to Vogue Knitting Live this year, or in January, so I'm really looking forward to seeing her again. Is it tasty? Are you eating it? Okay, I'm going to take it off you because you shouldn't put it in your mouth. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna take that off her just so she doesn't try to nibble on it anymore. And the last thing I have to show you is from a company called Lazada's Knitting Accessories, and they're actually a company based out of Israel. And they got in touch with me. Astrid got in touch from Lazada's Knitting Accessories, got in touch with me to see if I'd be interested in reviewing a couple of their products. And I said, of course, I'd be interested to give that a go. And so the main thing that they have two main sort of product lines that they carry. One are blocking wires, flexible knitting blocking wires, and the other is what they call project caddies, yarn bowls on the go, which sounded really intriguing. And so they come packaged like this. I haven't opened this one up, so I'm keeping this one packaged. So I might use this for giveaway. She did mention something about offering up some stuff for giveaways, but I wasn't entirely sure if she was sending that to me or if she was going to be mailing it out. So I've emailed her to check, and that's also why I haven't opened this, in case this is going to be the prize. But anyway, point being, I may still use this one as a prize because she did send me another one. So she sent me one in this purple colour, and there's one in this tealy green colour. So this one was already, it's sort of the packaging had sort of opened up a bit in the mail on its way over. So I'll be keeping this one. And so this is what it looks like open. It's just a big bowl, and it also has a couple of these little openings here where you could thread your yarn through if you wanted, and it has two on either side. So it keeps your yarn separated that way. So that's really fun. But the real bonus of this is the handle. There's a slit at the top on the opposite side. Not sure how well you can see that. There's a slit opening here. You can pop that handle through there, and there you go. You've got a little yarn caddy for on-the-go knitting. You can hook it over your arm, and you've got an opening on either side. No zippers, no buttons, no Velcro, nothing to get your yarn stuck on. And you can just hook it over your arm. You can like hang it off or something and knit from it, and it's really nice, sort of soft silicone, and it's got this really fun little knit pattern. Little focus, there we go. This fun little knit pattern running down it as well, running down the sides and along the edges decoratively. So yeah, I thought that was quite fun. I'm looking forward to giving that a go and see how that works out. I've got a little hook thing on the stroller, so this might be like a way to take some knitting with me on the go and be able to knit while I'm out and about with Layla. So I'll give that a go and see how that works out. But like I said, I have another one here which I'll probably use for a giveaway. And she also sent me some blocking wire sets to try out. She sent me 2 sets. So she sent me a mix set, super flexible knitting blocking wires. And this set includes, there's a lot in here actually as well. 4 blocking wires that are 35 inches long, so 90 centimeters, and 3 blocking wires that are 70 inches long, and that's 180 centimeters, as well as 30 T-pins. Here, do you think that? You can't get into it, so you can just play with it. If you want to chew on that, you can. Okay. Yeah. You want to give your opinion? Hey? Tell everyone what you think. Turn around a little bit. And the other one she sent me is the deluxe set. So that was the mix set, and this is the deluxe set. And this one comes with 10 blocking wires that are 35 inches long or 90 centimeters, and 5 that are 70 inches long or 180 centimeters, and 60 T-pins. So you can see the wires in there. I'll open this one up and show you what it looks like. Yeah, you enjoying that? Yeah. Oh no, okay, don't do that. Clean that up. Here, play with one of your toys. Yeah. Yeah. So the blocking wires come in individual bags. They're super flexible, so these are going to be really easy to store as well, which is great. And then obviously you have your little T-pins as well. Focus, there we go. So yeah, and I think it comes with like a little instruction. Yeah, it tells you how to use them as well on the inside of the packaging. So yeah, I don't actually have anything on the needles right now that's going to need blocking with blocking wires. So the next time I do, I will give these a shot. I'll give these a try and I'll be sure to let you know how they go and how they are to use. And that's it in terms of acquisitions. Oh, I have one more thing to show you. This is my Knit Crate box arrived. So I do monthly reviews on behalf of Knit Crate. I'll be doing a separate Knit Crate review video for you guys as a separate one to this. It's not going to be part of the podcast. But as always, I mean, they send me the boxes for free in return for an honest review, and that's what I do. I don't get paid or anything for a review, so I tell you what I think. So yeah, so this is this month's box. The only reason it's so late is just because usually they send out the boxes at the beginning of the month, but something went wrong with the box they sent me, so they had to send out another one, which was fine. I just think the original one never got sent, maybe. But yeah, so it's arrived now, so I'll be able to do a review on that for you guys. And yeah, so moving on, we have a couple of knit-alongs running in the group. The year-long knit-along for Knitting Expat Designs is still ongoing. The next prize drawing will be done at the end of November for that one. And the Road to Rhinebeck Mystery Knit-along is unofficially still going on. I'm going to close those threads at the end of October. So you have until then to sneak in a finished object if you haven't yet had a chance. Then we also have the Sock Pattern Club, the New York Sock Club, which is still ongoing. All the patterns have been released, but the actual knit-along is still ongoing until the end of November, so you have until then to finish off your socks and enter into the prize threads. We have a monthly FO thread, which I won't be drawing from again until the end of November. And then we also have the grand prize thread, and to be entered into the grand prize drawing, you will have had to have completed all 7 pairs of socks in the throughout the year by the end of November, essentially. So I'm going to move on to week in review and yeah, let you guys know what's going on. So if you're only here for the knitting, that's all the knitting content finished. Thank you so much for joining me. Otherwise, stick around for the week in review. So week in review, switched out her toy, so hopefully this one won't be as noisy. So Layla's now 35 weeks old. She is officially 8 months old now. She actually turned 8 months whilst we were at Rhinebeck. So, so that was fun. And then she had her first flea jab yesterday. That actually went a lot better than I was expecting, considering how she reacted the last time I took her to the doctor's office. She had a little meltdown when we first got there, when she recognised where we were. And then she was fine, and then she had another little cry after the injection, but then she was okay after that. Her 4th tooth has finally came through. It actually came through at the end of, well, last Friday, but that tooth was causing us so much pain. That was just terrible. Monday was actually a really rough day after we got back. Partly a bit of a Rhinebeck hangover. Layla was just miserable that day. She was just so grumpy. I literally could not get a single thing done that day. I got nothing done on Monday. Like, literally, Perry left in the morning, and he came back, nothing had changed in the house at all. I wasn't able to, like, I wasn't even able to eat food that day. She was so needy and so clingy and just like I could not put her down for like a second that day. It was rough, and she was just super whiny all the time. She's not like that normally. Like Perry got home, and after like not even 5 minutes, he was like, I don't know how you dealt with this all day, like with her being like this. She was, and I thought maybe I was just having a rough day, and I felt like she was being like really difficult or something like that. And I thought maybe it was just my interpretation of it because of how I'd been feeling. But when he came home, like literally less than 5 minutes later, being like, I don't know how you've been dealing with this all day, I was like, okay, it's not just me being overly sensitive right now, but she is being particularly grumpy today. Thankfully, Tuesday, she woke up, everything was fine again, and she's been great all week up until today, when nap time has just gone wrong. But it's okay, she's done well all week, and she'll get there. It's not a big deal, comes and goes. And but otherwise she's very happy now, which is great, and I appreciate having my happy little baby back. It was not fun. This last month was pretty painful for her in terms of teething. It really took it out of her, but her top 2 teeth are in now, so she now has 4. And she's also definitely trying to pull up a lot more. You may have seen the clip at the beginning of the vlog, of the episode. If I put, where she's, I literally turned around for 20 seconds to go help Perry with something in the kitchen for dinner, and a couple of days ago, and I came back out and she'd pulled herself up on one of her chair thingies that we had. It was on the floor, and she literally pulled herself up on it. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, where is this coming from? It's just ridiculous. It's scary how much she's progressing and how quickly I mean, it's great, obviously, but I'm sorry this is so squealy. I hope it doesn't bother anybody. Anyway, other than that, I just wanted to share a few other bits from the Rhinebeck weekend that I forgot to mention in the vlog. So I thought it'd be interesting to share some of Perry's thoughts on the weekend and what he thought of Rhinebeck. He only really came on the Saturday, and we left like halfway through the afternoon just because he became ill. I think he must have got some sort of like tummy bug or something, and I heard after the fact that actually quite a few people had gotten sick or something, which is strange because it's not, I know it definitely wasn't the food, because we didn't eat anything on the Saturday at Rhinebeck, so it couldn't have been the food. So anyway, so I don't know what went wrong or what happened, but from what he experienced, his thoughts were it was very busy. It was busier than he was expecting, even though I tried to explain to him that Rhinebeck is to knitters the way that, you know, the San Diego Comic-Con is to people who like comics, and Perry likes comics, so I thought he would get that reference, but apparently it wasn't enough for him to prepare him for what the crowds were going to be like on the Saturday. And we actually got there like around, must have been around 10 o'clock-ish, so you know, it wasn't even that busy. We walked right in at the beginning, but there were a couple of times where I left him with Layla and I went off to do a bit of like browsing around or see people or something, and then in the time that he was alone with Layla, there were a few occasions where he was recognized and people came up to him and being like, oh hi Perry, you don't know me, but blah 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 blah, and he found that really I don't want to say awkward, because awkward is not the right word. It was awkward for him because he wasn't expecting it, and it surprised him. I think that's probably the better way of putting it. He was more surprised by how much recognition he got because he wasn't anticipating that, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, so I thought that was quite funny. He didn't mind, obviously. He didn't mind at all, but it was just, it was more, he wasn't expecting it. As much as I enjoyed Saturday, and honestly Saturday was the best day for socializing and for seeing people and stuff, it really wasn't a shopping day though. It wasn't a day to do much in the way of purchasing, just because it was so packed, so busy. A lot of the stalls were really, a lot of the booths were really busy, just the barns were busy and difficult to navigate, especially with the stroller. I mean, there were loads of people there with strollers, but it was more tricky. But Sunday was so relaxed by comparison. It was so laid back, especially that first 1 or 2 hours in the morning when the fairgrounds first opened up. No, you're not taking the iPad. when the fairgrounds first opened up that were just so peaceful. Even though there were people coming in and it was starting to get busy, it just felt very calm and relaxed. And it was also quite nice because it was so cold that morning. It was quite chilly. I could see my breath, so it was cold. And it was just nice. And I caught up with a couple of friends in the morning and we had coffee and well, actually they had coffee, I didn't. And it was just nice. It was a very relaxed start to the day compared to Saturday. And that first hour or so when I was walking around on my own, it was actually the best. I would say that Sunday morning is like the best time to actually enjoy Rhinebeck for Rhinebeck, like for the place and for enjoying your surroundings and where you are and just kind of taking that all in. I feel like with Saturday everything is so busy in the best possible way, but it's so busy and there's so many people to see and to talk to and stuff that you don't really have time to take in where you are and your surroundings and all that stuff. Anyway, so I just wanted to add that in. And yeah, I say Saturday was my favourite for seeing everyone and being sociable, but Sunday was my favourite for actually enjoying the place and doing shopping and stuff like that. So that if I ever go back again, which I hope I will, definitely doing both days. I think I'll always try and do both days when possible, even if it's just a couple of hours in the morning on the Sunday. And I would love to go back again next year. Perry's actually, it was quite funny because I didn't realise he would feel this way, but he was very insistent that I should try and go next year if we can make it work, which I think we will be able to. Even if it's just me that goes, it will be, I think it should be fine. Honestly right now it's a little bit difficult to say when we don't know exactly what's happening with our situation, but on that note, we are this close to figuring out what's going to happen. We're just waiting for a couple of things to fall into place, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, soon we will have some good news to share. Anyway, one final note. I could not believe how many bees or wasps, I don't know what they were, I didn't stick around long enough to find out, but there were so many of these little buggers flying around and buzzing around people. I bumped into Maria from Tuscan Knits actually on the last day, just as I was heading out. I bumped into her and we were trying to have a conversation, but these poor bees were not leaving her alone. I would say us, but more her, like they were really going after her. I'm not sure why. The poor thing was just like completely swarmed, like not swarmed, there's like one or two. But, and I'm deathly afraid of bees and wasps and anything that can sting you like that. Bees less so, but I usually don't hang around long enough to figure out whether it's a bee or a wasp. So I'm usually really jumpy and really skittish. So apologies to anybody who I had a conversation with that weekend and just like suddenly started running around like a lunatic because bees, wasps, whatever they were. Yeah, they kind of terrify me a little bit, or a lot. But yeah, so it was just so lovely to see everybody, and there were a few people who I knew were there and who maybe I saw out the corner of my eye off in the distance somewhere, and I just never got around to seeing them or talking to them. So I'm really sorry if I missed you. Hopefully we'll get, I'll get to see some people again soon, and or next year even. And yeah, so I think that pretty much sums it up for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry, I feel a little bit distracted in this last segment just because, baby. Yeah. But I'm actually wondering if maybe she's still teething because, especially today, she's having some of the usual teething signs today, but she's still pretty happy, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, any future teeth are not going to be as bad as the top two that came out recently. I know molars can be quite bad, but I'm hoping the rest of the ones that will come out first won't be too bad before the molars. But anyway, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I will be vlogging next week starting from tomorrow. Hopefully we have some really nice plans for tomorrow, so fingers crossed we will actually get to do them. We're planning on going out for the day and doing a few things, so I'll be sure to bring you guys along with me over the next few days. And so yeah, next week you'll have a vlog, and then following that will be another podcast episode, and I will also have the prize winners video up for you guys middle of next week as well. All right, take care, thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.